Hello everybody, Vigo Shadow here, and here's the big video that you guys have been waiting for, I'm sure. Fire Force Collab is here, full force. I made a video about the event stuff, but if you want a too long didn't read version of it, it's just your typical event, alright? You have some campaign missions that only apply to if you pull these characters, so let's just get onto the characters here. We have a red fire unit here, and then we have this one here, Tamaki Kotatsu. Please ignore if I pronounce these wrong. But that one's a red shield, and I'm guessing this is a red healer. So Shinmon Benimaru, or whatever, that's also. And these are all characters from Fire Force, of course. It is a red attacker, so we have 2 red attackers and 1 red tank. So we're going to see how they really stack up. Let's just go on the top of the list. We'll go to Shinra, and we're going to just do all these characters in the same video. I'm not going to release separates, all the same. And we're going to try to blast through them as fast as we can, alright? So obviously... Oh, sorry, we don't want to get that. We want to get the art. So the image art, you know, obviously there's a lot of fire. Looks like a boiler room setting. Pretty cool. Obviously a lot of emphasis on the flames. Here we go to max stats. All right, so we got power to healing boost. I'm going to try to breeze through this as quick as I can here. Healing boost to overheal. And the grouping, which is human and other. So, you know, often you don't see that other. I don't know why they can't just put collab or something. I don't know. Either way, let's go to skills. Hidden technique, Corna. Yep, Corna. So right off the bat, huge number of damage right off the bat, 2,500 on a single enemy, and further inflicts 100 damage multiplied by the number of speed buff effects on self. So I'm assuming this character is going to probably be able to do that then. That's usually a hint. So either way, so if you have 10 stacks of speed buff, you got 3,500% damage on a single enemy. So depending on how much speed buffs he can do for himself, or if others can give him speed buffs, then, you know, then we'll see how well that actually works. So we got Rapid Man Kick for his skill 1, alright? 2 hit damage, 150, 150, 300% on all enemies. Pretty good within 100 centimeters, so not all enemies with the highest attack. Further inflicts knockback by 150, so that's actually not bad. A regular 300% damage divided into 2 hits, and then it also hits enemies close by, and then it knocks them back too. That ain't bad. I don't mind that skill 1. So, and then, you know, obviously there's a little bit more charm with being able to hit more than one, and also knocking back. Let's see what this looks like awakened here. Ooh, terrible. Only 50% on each of them, so 100% more damage. Probably going to be easily the worst on his awakening roadmap here. Tora Hishigi is the next one on a skill 2. Raises his own speed by 10% for 15 seconds, 5 times. There we go. There's our number. 5 stacks, 500% more damage. We're getting 3,000% for the hidden technique if you have the speed stacks and you time it right. Further raises your attack by 20% for 15 seconds. If it was 200, it'd go from like mid to like god tier right away. Yeah, so either way, yeah, raises your own speed by 10% for 15 seconds. That's 50% speed, by the way, because if it's doing it 5 times, that's 5 stacks, you know. Usually it's just 1 solid stack, you know, I think. Either way, we're going to go to the when this is awakened, you get 20% more attack, and I feel like that's actually pretty considerable. I'd say mid to high for that awakening, for sure. But it doesn't, what would be better, what would make it a little bit more better is if you had more stacks of speed, for sure. Either way, not a bad skill for the skill 2 there. We're going to go to the special ability. These ones usually outrank the rest. The fire that will protect mankind. Ah, that's pretty... I love the way they named that. So, I'm pretty sure it's something that's said in the show or whatnot, or manga, or whatever it is, whatever form of media it's on. So I'm not too knowledgeable about Fire Force here, so... Each time damage is received by an ally, not bad, 3 in his attacker, so it's going to be the tank usually. Cooldown 3 seconds, raises his own attack by 10% for 10 seconds, inflicts 20% damage on a single enemy with the highest attack, multiplied by the number of speed buffs effects on self. So that's usually 5, so 100% damage. Let's do standard damage on a single enemy, so that's nothing to boast about, that last part there. But raising your own attack every time a damage is received by an ally, cooldown 3 seconds, which means you can kind of double or triple dip, best case scenario. 30% best, 20% probably usual. And then, of course, it's just going to keep that loop. I don't think you're going to ever exceed 3 based on the cooldown and how long it's for. Unless it's awakened, nothing really. 5% more, really, so it goes from like 30 usual and then 45 compared to the 20-30 usual. So it goes from 20-30 usual to 30-45 usual, so that's a little bit better. But I'd say that 10% damage doesn't really do jack, honestly. Let's see here. Let's go with the Link gear. Let's see if there's any redeeming factor there. Alright, each time damage is received by an ally, I like these ones. Raise zone speed by 10% for 15 seconds. Now let's just do best worst case scenario, okay? Or like best / usual. 3 seconds, and it's going to be 15, so we got 3, 6, 9, 12, so that's 4 stacks, okay? Yeah, so 3, 6, 9, 12, and then it could hit 15, but let's just say that's not going to be a usual. So let's just go with 4 stacks, okay? So you're going to be 40% speed, 40 to 30% speed most of the time. Plus you have other speed stacks to dip, to dip into. You have the Tora Hishiki speed as well, which is 10% more, which would be probably like, so 40-50 would be your usual with that skill combined there. And that also adds a layer of speed stacks, I bet. So that's going to do even more, so that's going to play into your Korna hidden technique. Now let's go to Awakening here. Okay, we have Rapid Man Kick, easily the fucking worst one. Alright, so that one goes like bad. Magic Gear slot, he doesn't really have another... Ooh, alright, we're doing some work outside. A2, Magic Gear slot, that's what they have there. This one's probably one of the best things of his kit, A3, but like, I don't know. Doing that is a lot of work just to get to A3. A4, I'd say mid. This one, better mid. A lot of stuff in his Awakening kit isn't really that good besides his A3, I think. People can disagree for sure. I am kind of blowing through these a little bit fast, but my final synopsis on the Shinra character here is, for a red attacker, is that we've definitely seen better, for sure, out of red units that are SF. This is for the novelty of it being an event character, and it's Fire Force, so if you really like this character from Fire Force, how viable is he as an event character? Right off the bat, I'm going to say I don't really like him that much. And it might, people might argue in the comments, and they definitely can if they want. But I just see this character's main trump card being the hidden technique and being able to speed himself. And I know speed's really good, and he's going to be able to do more damage with that speed for sure. But it's only to himself. Other characters can buff other people. He doesn't buff nobody but himself. And then, even in terms of buff, it's mainly just speed. And then there's just, some pieces of additional damage, you hear every right now and then in his attack. So, I mean, he's going to hit like a damn truck when it comes to his hidden technique, but I just don't see anything else revolving around it that's going to make it a little bit better. Even the gear, I mean, you get more speed out of the gear, but I just think it's not enough for me to pull personally, for sure. But others could disagree. Others might really want this event, and then in that case, go for it. I'd say if in terms of scale of a tier list, it's at least in a good tier. Maybe great. So if we're taking a standard tier list and doing S, A, B, C, D, whatever, I'd probably place this character in a B or A tier. And people can argue that, but I guarantee it's not S. For at least my preferences, okay? Other people can debate, maybe people can test it and find out, hey, this really works really well. I mean, you just kind of go, you got to go off what you got to go off of, okay? I just know that there is definitely better red units that are attacker that are SF, and if you stick around till Shadow Festival, then, it's probably going to outbeat it, let's be honest. Alright. Next we got the Nekomata of Company 8, Tamaki Kotatsu. And she's a red tank, so, I think there's probably a lot of potential in that for sure. Let's take a look at the art here. We have still, more of these, pink flames. And I could be wrong, because I am a little bit colorblind, so... either way, I like this art. You got a burning city in the background. Actually, this art is pretty damn cool. I think her green eyes definitely, either green or yellow, I'm not sure, set her apart a lot. from the rest of the composition, so that's pretty cool. Let's go to the max stats here. Power to healing boost right there. Then we're going to go from healing boost to overheal. And then lastly, the grouping is human and other still. Now, hold on now. We can actually make pretty good teams out of this, these event characters, if we're using Anna Rose and we're doing that whole human team composition. So think about that too. That's going to probably play a huge factor into damage as well. Okay, next let's go under our skills. We got Nekomata Fireball. So this one's going to recover own HP by 100% of attack. It's kind of standard for a tank, honestly. Further raises attack by 15% for 15 seconds. Now, keep in mind, you don't want to attack on a tank usually, so I'm kind of indifferent about that. Inflicts 500 damage on a single enemy. So this is, I mean, it's at least it's a 3-in-1 technique, but it's starting to sound like the standard now. So I don't really see anything that sticks out as abnormal. When this is awakened, you have a 100% more damage option there. And wow. Wow, is that lazy. 100% more damage, dude, on a hidden technique. That is like the worst... the worst change to a hidden technique awaken you could possibly do. You have a percent here. Raise your attack for 15% for 15. Not seconds longer, not more boost, not more HP, but fucking damage, dude. 100% more damage? That's ridiculous. Nobody wants that. This is the worst. This is the worst of the worst. Creme la creme of like bad things to get awakened to. Put that up there on a post or on a billboard or a post-it note. Skill 1, don't mess with me. Raises own defense by 30% for 15 seconds. Let me just tell you, that's standard. Grants ongoing recoveries on all allies by 15% of attack for 30 seconds. That's actually not bad, because ongoing HP recovery as a tank, and especially if your team needs heals and your healer's not covering it, but they really should, then, you know, that's going to actually help as well. So you're playing like a tank and a healer role at the same very, very slight healer role with that ongoing recovery, HP recovery, okay? Now when this gets awakened, it's actually a better one than the fucking hidden technique. You raise your defense from 30 to 50%, okay? So that's not bad. That's not bad. Raising your defense to that amount is pretty good. But I feel like it's a kind of a standard awakening too, and they're kind of chimping out on us for sure. I do see a provoke, and at least that might be at least a good redeeming factor for this tank. Lucky Leecher Lure. I like the alliteration there. Inflicts provoke on all enemies for 15 seconds. Sorry, I had to clap a few times because I like that shit. Also inflicts Lucky Leecher Lure for 15 seconds. Also lowers the speed by 10% for 5 seconds. Further inflicts Lucky Leecher Lure for 15 seconds if green elemental. So, now the next question is, what the fuck is Lucky Leecher Lure? Okay? So that's a new status effect. Let's see what this is awakened before we actually get into it. So, ooh, we get 2 times Lucky Leecher Lure with the awakening there. Finally, some redeeming damn factors. 5 seconds more provoke. And 10% more for lowering the speed on that enemy. So, and that's all. Actually, nope. That's all enemies. This is probably easily the best thing we ran into so far. Let's go ahead and check out what Lucky Leecher Lure is. Here we go. Brand new debuff. So let's take a look at it. For each stack, lowers the damage inflicted by 10% and raises the damage received by 10%. Okay, not bad, but not good. I like how it's right below this Strongest Sword, which is a very easily good buff. Alright, so either way, let's go back to it. Okay, now that we know what Lucky Leecher Lure is, let's say here, let's just do the standard, right? 1 on all enemies, and then another if it's green, and it should be. So let's just put that into the best case scenario. 2 stacks mean you're lowering their damage inflicted by 20%, and you're raising their damage received by 20%. You're also lowering the speed by 10%. That's like 2 debuffs or actually 3 debuffs on 1 character, and it does it for all enemies and their provoke. That's 4 debuffs actually. That's not bad. Compared to the rest of her kit, this is actually pretty damn good because you're doing a considerable amount of debuffs. They're on the kind of the lower side of things. a little bit, but at least you raise the damage received, so you're helped by at least a little bit, at least 20%, and you're making sure that they don't do as much damage. I think what you should prioritize is not lowering the. Here's I'm just gonna do a little brief lesson here. You want your characters to have more speed and buffs. Buffs over debuffs, usually, most of the time. Buffs over debuffs. Unless you're lowering their defense. Unless you're lowering, unless you're lowering their defense. That's the main thing. Because the more damage you can do on your team is the better. The best debuffs to have is weakness, like lowering their defense, anything of that nature, lowering their crit defense, any type of defense. Lowering their speed kind of helps too, especially for bosses for sure. And then some various other debuffs that I'm not going to keep going into, but mainly you want buffs over debuffs, usually. Okay, but this is not bad. When this is awakened, obviously you get three more, so 30% damage increased or inflicted, and then they do 30% less to you. So that's not bad on the awakening. Probably easily the best awakening on her kit for sure. And that wasn't even her special ability, so that's a skill 2. That's not bad. Nekomata of Company 8 is a special ability. Let's check it out. Each time damage is received, 3 seconds. Okay, alright. Each time damage is received, 3 seconds, inflict Lucky Leecher Lure on a single enemy with the highest attack for 15 seconds. The unfortunate part of this is that it's going to be on that one enemy. But it's going to be very fortunate if it's boss, because it decreases the SP by 15. That's not a huge amount, but still, that's considerable. That's every time you take damage, you're lowering their bar for their hidden technique. Now that might be like a hidden trump card that this character has for sure. And then each time you inflict it, so let's take best case scenario, 4 stacks, okay? Lucky Leecher Lure, that's 40% damage received that they're going to be able to take. And they're doing 40% less damage. I think this character is actually going to be pretty damn good for bosses for sure, because if we have the 40%, and what I say for best case scenario, probably 30... Yeah, 30% there? Oh, that's only if you have it awakening, so let's just do 20%, okay? 20%, so on top of that, we got 60% damage received and 60% less damage inflicted that they're doing. That's a damn good special ability compared to Lucky Leecher Lure. Literally, that debuff kind of redeems the character and puts her from like what I thought was like probably D tier. I'm gonna be honest, until I read those two. Like I was thinking she was like a solid D tier character, and then I read these two, and then it brought her up to like B tier at least. And now with the SP combination and doing 60%, probably brings her to A tier now. So we're probably looking at an A tier character. Of course, that's probably going to be overshadowed by some comments, maybe. At the start of the wave, raises own overheal by 50% permanent. Not bad. You're going to be able to take more damage as a tank, and that's exactly what you want. Link Gear is like very subpar. It's kind of like stuff we've already seen before. I was hoping for something better, like maybe more Lucky Leecher Lure debuffs. At that point, you may be looking at teetering S at that point. Let's go ahead and check out the Awakening roadmap here. Okay, Don't Mess With Me is the first one. Not bad for the Awakening skill 1, because going from 30 to 50 is actually quite the jump. And then ongoing HP recovery as well. For 30 seconds, I mean, come on, it's 30 seconds, half a wave. It's not bad. And that's a skill 1. Like, come on. Alright, Awakening 2 is the Nekomata Fireball, which, oh my god, that's the fucking worst Awakening. Maybe keeping her at A1. And then Gear Slot ruins it. And then, yeah, it'd be too grindy to get to 4 and 5, and that's obviously the best part of her kit, so... yeah, no, Awakening roadmap sucks. A1, probably the best thing that you would want to grind for the least. And you could probably get A1 through events, so... no point in trying to grind it past or pulling more of this character for sure, because it'd be taking way too much money. I think, for sure. Okay, now that we're done with that one, what is my honest review of the character? Honestly, she's not a bad tank, and I think she's probably like looking at more of like a hidden trump card that she's able to take SP away from an enemy, as well as make them hurt a lot more, with that potential best case scenario being 60% damage received and letting your characters just chew on them. That's not bad. That's really not bad. You're also lowering their speed too. I think she's going to be good for bosses, honestly. Even as an event character, there probably is better red tanks that could come out, but I think she's probably one of the safest pulls so far. But we haven't seen this character yet, the Shinmon, so I want to see what he can do first. And then I might compare the three and choose what I think might be the best banner. But, you know, A lot of this is like, personal preference and what I think. So everybody in the comments, I definitely encourage you to put your 2 cents in. I'm not one of those creators that are like, oh, geez, if you don't listen to me, oh god, you know. This one actually looks pretty fucking badass for an art. I'm not gonna lie, dude. Like all those like flaming sticks that he has with the fire ring. He looks like a pretty cool character. I'm not gonna lie, especially his little eye detail he had. We're gonna check out the max stats. Going from power to healing boost there, going from healing boost to overheal, and lastly, the grouping is the same. Let's go back to initial. Let's check out his skills. I'm actually very curious. Form 7, Nichiren. I don't know if I said that right, but either way. Whoo, damn, dude. Nichiren hits hard. 3,000% damage on a single enemy, inflicts 500 damage on all enemies. The Master Shadow, it immediately reminds me of, because Master Shadow does 3,000, but he does 1,000 instead of 500% damage on all enemies. I can't say the Master Shadow anymore, because he's really not that. I mean, he's still kind of relevant, but man, I don't know if he can. I mean, there's so many better SFs now. It's just he's kind of like getting left in the dust. But either way, I mean, this is considerable. 500% more damage on all enemies. Okay. It doesn't say all other enemies, keep in mind you now. So that's 3,500 on that one enemy. Not bad. I like this ultimate. And then you could do 4,000 potentially. So maybe damage cap and then 1,000 additional. If it's additional. I don't know if it's all other enemies, and I'm not sure if that's a typo, but if it can hit him twice, that's a pretty damn good hidden technique. A lot of damage there. Let's hope for attack. Let's hope for other boosts. Form 1. Kagetsu. I'm just, trying to think of it. Okay, standard. 300% damage on all enemies within 100 centimeters of target. Target's going to be, there's no specification, so tank. Probably tank. And PvP, or the first enemy in line. So, let's see here. 200% damage more. So you go from, 400 to 500. Yep. Am I saying that right? 300. No, 500. It goes from 300% damage to 500%. What am I thinking? Not bad. Not bad. I think it's kind of a standard thing. So not too great. That's like, it's like a C tier advancement. C or D, I don't know. Matoi throw, however you say it. 5 hits, 70, 70, 70, 70. Let's just see the awakening. Let me guess. 500, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 500. Otherwise, God, why does that have to be like an odd number, like fucking 70, dude? So that would be 350, by the way. So that's actually kind of like the same jump, but worse, which is kind of funny. It's just more multi-hits. I mean, multi-hits are better than just single, that's for sure. Probably gonna hear some additional noise, so just kind of ignore that. There's some construction going on outside my house. Special ability. Wow. Okay, we really blasted through this fucking character quick. What, did they just rush him? With all, let's just give him damage and that's it. He better have a good special ability or fucking link gear, otherwise he's the most bland fucking character I've reviewed so far. Alright. Asakusa's King of Destruction. It's King of Destruction. I want this to be a good move. Oh shit. Each time a status ailment is inflicted, 3 seconds. Cancels all status ailments on self. Selfish. Further raises attack by 10% for 20 seconds. Inflicts a 2-hit, which is just 50% on single enemy with the highest attack. Each time damage is inflicted by self. Cooldown 3 seconds. Raise own damage inflicted by 10% for 15 seconds. Now, holy shit, that was a fucking paragraph. Okay, so right off the bat, each time a status ailment is inflicted, which he does nothing so far, so that's kind of pointless, unless, I mean, it's probably, so that's any of your characters, which is probably bound to happen. You're canceling all status ailments on self, but that's pretty selfish for an attacker. I mean, at least he stays alive, but the rest die? Okay, so what? I just don't really see a point to that. Somebody can argue about it, but I mean, you can protect this unit a lot for sure, but like unless he's getting consistent buffs and shit, then, and he's the highest attacker and he's getting buffed a lot, then maybe then that's a better reason. Raises the attack by 10% for 20 seconds. Each time a status ailment is inflicted. So you could probably boost them up. Now, see, this is where it gets tricky. Okay, how many status ailments can you do, and how many times can you stack this in the span of 20 seconds? Unless that cooldown of 3 seconds is included. Now, I don't know this. I can't test this because I don't have the character, nor can I get that, nor do I have the resources, nor do I have the people. So, it's just depending on how many status ailments you can do, okay? If you do 5, you're at 50 from other characters. But if we're going by the cooldown rule, let's just say that there's a cooldown rule. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and then 16, 17, 18. So let's just say 18. That's 6 stacks. That's 60% attack for 20 seconds, and you're probably going to see the remainder like 2 seconds. That's if you stack them all correctly and you fit them all in the cooldown. So you're going to have 60% attack at that specific given point. Alright, being your strongest attack, then you hit the ultimate, right? Okay, that's pretty damn good. But we've had characters in the past that can just go, snap their fingers, 50% attack, and critical, and that. I mean, I'm looking at Aurora here, right? With her damn demon power stacks, and that's a stack, and she could double stack and all that shit, just instant 50%. This one, there's a progression. That, or unless every time, if there's no cap and there's no cooldown, and it's just status ailments after status ailments, you can probably get to 100%. Past it, 200, fuck, depending on how many status ailments you're churning out, dude. I mean, it could be quite. I'm just gonna go off that cooldown though, so it could be B tier. All right, we're looking at B tier, like okay, BC. And then if you're able to do like 100% attack onward with the no cooldown on the status ailment there, then S. Like A S tier, okay, if that's the case. Each time damage is inflicted on self, you raise your own damage inflicted. So you're raising attack and your raises damage inflicted. So every time your character does damage inflicted, but there is a cooldown, there is specific specifications. Okay, sorry. Cooldown 3 seconds. Damage inflicted by 10%. So let's just check it out here. Okay, 3, 6, 9, and 12. Best case scenario, you got 4 stacks, which is 40% damage inflicted. And then at that point, you're probably gonna have the 40% attack. So let's just say 40-40. That's actually pretty good. This is probably the redeeming factor here. I want to see a lot of changes when we hit Awakening. All right, I'm not even mentioning the 2-hit because really, honestly, less than standard damage. That's a less than a normal attack. Alright, when it's awakened... Oh my god. Damage okay, the stacks... Okay, the best stacks at least change. Further raises attack by 15% for 20 seconds, and then damage inflicted by 15 per seconds. Now that's actually a really good change, or it's a really bad change depending on how much you can do. Not a bad change when it's damage inflicted by self, because I think you could probably get a lot done with that, so... What I say, 40% last time, so 4 stacks of this is like 45. Right? Right? No, it's 60. 60% damage inflicted, best case scenario, which I'm pretty sure he'll probably hit. At least for a specific, like, what is it, 2 seconds? Yeah, so you'll have 2 seconds left, but you'll have 60% damage inflicted in that small window. So you gotta make that window fucking count. For sure. Let's see here. I'm really curious with the link gear. This could change it all. Like I said, sometimes link gear makes or breaks characters. Oh, baby. We've hit it. We've hit a good one. Oh, that's a good one. At the start of the wave, raises own attack by 50% for 60 seconds. Whole wave. Further raises speed by 50% for 60 seconds. We finally got it. We finally got it, boys. It's the 50% attack and 50% of speed that immediately takes it up like 2 tiers, man. 2 tiers. That link gear is like, it's not cracked per se, but it's pretty fucking good. For sure. The whole wave? Yeah, nah, you can't complain. Alright, that's easy, like an A tier, maybe teetering S tier god tier if you can like stack it so hard to where you're going above 100%. Because they put a cooldown requirement on everything else, but they don't put a cooldown requirement on that attack here. Let me just point it out one more time, because I don't know the specifications on that. So this part, right? So status ailment. So I'm assuming it's dipping into it again. Further raises attack by 10% for 20 seconds in a 3-second period. So your best case scenario would be like, what'd I say, even 50%, 60%? 60% or 50% attack regardless, and then that's 100% attack because you're getting 50% attack the whole wave. That's nuts. So obviously you want to wait until you have like a huge attack on this stacks on the attack, and then hit this 7 or form 7 Nichirin, which is going to hit super hard, probably hit the damage cap for sure with that 3000 initially. And then you have a bunch of these 2 hits that can hit way harder, and then this 5 hit that makes it so much more better with the 5 hit, just churning that out. And that's target enemy, that one's just single enemy, so I feel like he hits like a goddamn truck now because of that gear, so that's actually pretty good. And if you have other characters boosting him, I think that's going to be pretty damn good. Now, in terms of event characters, these 3 characters aren't bad, so I'm going to go over my final kind of review, okay, of what I think of the characters. So right off the bat, let's just start off with this one here. I obviously said in the beginning that I do not like him that much. Like, he mainly is like a speed on himself. He still does a very considerable amount of damage, but like I said, he's buffing himself and he's gearing himself up for like that super hard hitting ultimate. But there's not much more to it. It's just like speed and attack. And essentially, that's exactly what this one does right here. That's exactly what this one does here, but in a way better way, because he has the gear that just immediately sets him up with 50% attack and 50% speed. So essentially, just because of this guy's gear, you can choose him, Shinmon, over Shinra. Shinra is so overshadowed. So overshadowed by that one piece of gear that this guy has, and he does everything better, I think. Way better. If we're comparing him like this Shinra to Shinmon, immediately Shinmon outclasses Shinra easily with that gear, and his potential to do a lot more damage. So honestly, if you're gonna be summoning for any attacker here, because these are the 2 attackers to choose between, go with Shinmon. He's able to do 50% attack, 50% speed right away, whereas Shinra has to like build that up. Regardless, he could probably do more speed. He could probably outspeed him, but I don't care at this point. He does more damage, and then he's able to stack his attack way more efficiently, for sure, with that gear and his special ability, and the fact that, you know, he has a larger hidden technique that hits 3000%, and then maybe an additional 500% on it, or 1000 best case scenario. But regardless, yeah, he definitely outclasses him, for sure. And then let's talk about the tank here. Okay, I'm back. Alright, so we already talked about these 2. Now let's talk about the tank, okay? Tamaki Kotatsu, if I said that right. Honestly, this isn't, like I said, I think I said, this isn't a bad tank for sure. There's a lot of things that are pretty standard about it, and you can't do the roadmap too well. Like, but the main thing about this character is not the hidden technique, not the skill 1. It's this lucky leecher lure that does like that 30% on the damage the damage inflicted that it can take, the damage received. So you can do up to probably say 20% or 30%, depending on where you're at with the Awakening roadmap. But let's just throw the Awakening roadmap out the damn window, because you'd have to grind so hard for it to get this extra one right here. So there's 2 stacks of Lucky Leecher Lure, and then what do we say for the gear? Oh, okay, Overheal. And then this one does another Lucky Leecher Lure, okay, and that's each time damage is inflicted, or each time damage is received for 15 seconds. So we can go 3, 6, 9, 12, 4 stacks. So we're getting 4 stacks of Lucky Leecher Lure plus the 2. All right, so that's 4, 2, this is 60% damage received that boss, if I'm just looking at this at a boss sense. And then you're decreasing 15 SP every 3 seconds for the boss, and you're slowing him down as well. You're also slowing him down because you're lowering the speed by, you know, 10%. It's only for 5 seconds, but still, I mean, you're taking SP away, you're lowering speed. That's going to help you with bosses. I think she's not a bad character for bosses too. Obviously, if anybody in the comments says, well, an SF could do this better, well, no shit. I mean, I mean, sorry. Yeah, SFs definitely will always outclass events, usually, unless it's a busted event. I don't really see any busted elements of an event here. Besides, I mean, I've definitely seen better from a lot of Shadow Festival units, and probably more to come. My advice, if you're like free to play and you're looking for a specifically like meta relevant and um, characters that are going to be able to stick with you for very long periods of time, save your gems. Go for a Shadow Festival character. But if you really like Fire Force, if you really want these characters, and you're gonna like probably pull regardless, I'd say the best character to pull probably out of these three would probably be Shinmon. Shinmon has an immediate gear that goes 50% attack, 50% speed right away at the start of the wave. Now that could be double dipped into other people that can boost him up as well. So if you have other people boosting his attack as well and his speed, then he's just going to be a monster. He can do a lot on the hidden technique. He can do a lot on his multi-hits. A lot more than, you know, the usual standard stuff. So, and that's from beginning to end. And then he's only going to be giving himself more attack, and if you have other boosts from other characters, that's even more attack. So honestly, he's the best attacker in the lineup for sure. Shinra gets overshadowed for damn sure. And then Tamaki, I feel like she can do kind of a lot for being able to have more damage on the boss. The boss does less damage to you, up to 60% best case scenario. I mean, I'd say, I don't know, I hate giving ballparks, but 30 to 60% less damage inflicted. So she's protecting your team a lot, considering the facts, and being able to take SP away, lowering the speed just by a minimal amount. But that's a tank doing that. That's not even an attacker, so she's a damn good tank for sure. Now let's just go ahead and, like, let's just make comparisons, alright? So they're like, okay, well, I mean, honestly, like, there's nothing in the standard character pool that could probably do better. Well, let's see here. Let's see exactly what we have for characters that could be good, suitable replacements for those attackers and or tanks. Right off the bat, we have busted gear with Claire. Okay, her busted gear allows, if you get her all the way to SS plus or SS plus plus and get her magic gear, which I do not have. This standard character here. Let's just take a look. When your own HP falls below 99, so, I mean, almost immediately, raises own evasion up to 90% permanent, okay? She has to get hit once. She has to get hit once, so don't have any overheal, don't have any of that on her. One hit. Usually one hit. 90% evasion. And then all other red units get 50% evasion. They get raised damage inflicted by 30% permanent, all permanent stats. This is busted. This is busted coming from Claire, alright? So, immediately, this is a better tank than the one that I just showed you, for sure, just based off that gear alone, so you can make it with Claire. Otherwise, I think she does get a little bit outclassed, but Claire can't take away SP. I feel like that tank would still be kind of suitable for bosses that can just churn out hidden techniques. At least it would help prevent it a little bit. As for the attackers, I think Anna Rose does a pretty damn good job. You could even pair Anna Rose with her. With her ability being able to raise her own attack multiplied by number of humans. So they'd be suitable. And then you can raise the evasion as well. So she does way more, a lot of attack, and then she can raise the attack of human allies, raise the speed of them. This Anna Rose would be a definite good pair for any person that you pull from the banner, the 3 banners that include Fire Force characters. Because she's able to raise their speed as well, especially playing into Shinra or the other attacker, Shimoi, or I can't even remember the name, honestly. But obviously there is some other red attackers, like I think Iris, definitely, I definitely use her a lot, of course. That's only because I'm a super fan. Let's see what her magic gear does now for attackers. So, stun resistance doesn't matter. So she could do 50% attack if you have 5 red elementals, and 50% attack if you have humans in your party as well. So that's very specific qualifications, but still, you have 50% attack. You can go up to 100% attack if you have 5 reds and 5 humans. 100% off the bat, whole wave. I mean, that's pretty good. And then also, if we take a look at her gear, let's just take a look one more time with this. That was the magic gear. Now the link gear. raises your own damage inflicted by 10% permanent at the start of the wave. That's only a little bit, but still, I think it's not much to really go off of. It's not really that good. But what else does she have in her kit here? Start of the wave also raises damage inflicted by, it's not 47 because I have that plussed, okay? I can't remember what it does at the start, maybe 30%, I think. Either way, that's still more damage inflicted along with 100% attack. I mean, just do the math there. She's actually a pretty suitable red attacker instead of the other attackers that you got up there. But obviously, one thing that kind of like makes the attackers worth it, alright, in the pools right now is just that one. That one is pretty much all I see being probably the best banner here is the Shinmon Benimaru because of that immediate gear that boosts him that well. I think it's still going to be pretty damn good, even if you're pairing him. Like if you pair him and you have other people boosting him as well, I mean, he could just do a lot of damage. I mean, this is crazy, especially this part right here, where he's able to raise his own damage and further go. So he might even be able to hit 100% on the attack, possibly, with his special ability there. So honestly, I think that's the best part of the kit here. I know I've been talking for a long time because I have to go over 3 banners and just kind of teetering on that and which characters to get. So that's just pretty much my 2 cents. I think it's not worth pulling for Shinra for sure. I think Tamaki can kind of get overshadowed by SS plus Magic Gear Claire, but I still think she's good for bosses. And then lastly, I think Shinmon is probably the best banner here, being able to do 50% attack, 50% speed right off the bat, and then being able to boost himself a little bit more, and then cancel out status ailments, I guess he can do as well. There's just a lot that's huge damage potential for that hidden technique, probably hitting damage cap for sure with all the boosts he's getting for himself even. Raising attack, raising damage inflicted by the, or raising own damage inflicted, so it's probably most likely that he'll be able to hit damage cap on that, at least that 3000, probably not his little ones. His other skill 1 and skill 2 are damage skills, so more damage churning out that way. Definitely a damage, attack, and speed unit for sure. So that's all I have to give you. So it is I think it's definitely worth pulling for Shinmon if you really like Fire Force and you really like his character. I think he's kind of worth it, but the rest kind of seem pretty mid, I'm not gonna lie. That's just my 2 cents. Everybody can have their own opinions in the comments and maybe put some other 2 cents, something that I probably overlooked or overshadowed for sure. I don't mind that. Definitely throw what you can. Thank you all for watching, for sure. This is Vigo, signing off.